You know this feeling. You're doing fine. You're not homeless, not falling apart, not failing in public, but you still feel late. Like everyone else got the memo. Career, money, body, relationship, friends, purpose, and you're still working on it. Then you open your phone for 5 seconds, and it's engagement photos, new cars, promotions, perfect skin, perfect vacations, perfect routines. And your brain goes, I'm behind. Here's the scary part. Feeling behind is rarely about your actual life. It's about your internal scoreboard. And most people are using a scoreboard that was designed to keep them anxious. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who feel behind in life. Why your brain creates timeline panic. How social comparison rewires your mood. What research says about the quarter-life crisis. And the one shift that instantly turns behind into direction. Feeling behind doesn't come from your calendar. It comes from your reference group. Your brain doesn't ask, am I progressing? It asks, am I progressing as fast as them? And in the modern world, your them is not your neighborhood. It's the entire internet. That's why people feel behind at 23, 29, 36, 42. Because the brain treats curated highlights like real life. And the more you consume highlight reels, the more normal life starts to feel like failure. That's not weakness. That's a system. Multiple reviews link heavy social media use with worse mental health outcomes like anxiety and depression. And they often point to social comparison as a key mechanism. It's what you're doing on the screen, especially comparing your real life to someone else's best angles. So if you feel behind all the time, you might not need a new life. You might need a new input stream. The milestone trap. You're living on a borrowed timeline. A huge percentage of feeling behind is actually this. You inherited a timeline you never agreed to. By a certain age, you should have a stable career, a partner, a body, a home, a social circle, a direction. And if you don't hit those milestones on schedule, your brain calls it failure. But many people aren't failing. They're just living in a world where milestones became harder. Housing, job stability, career paths, relationships, everything. So the pressure rises, and people start measuring their worth by speed. The 5 hidden psychology drivers behind I'm behind. 1. Compressed reality. Your brain is consuming 300 success moments a day. It doesn't see the boring parts, rejections, debt, anxiety, fights, bad days. So your life starts to look slow by comparison. 2. Low control and timeline panic. When you don't feel control over your work, money, or future, your brain tries to create control through urgency, so it screams, go faster. Not because faster is smarter, because urgency feels like action. 3. Identity gap. This one is deep. You don't just feel behind your peers, you feel behind your potential. The person you thought you'd be by now. And when that identity gap grows, you start living with quiet shame, even if you're doing okay. 4. Perfectionism disguised as ambition. Some people say, I feel behind, but what they mean is, if I'm not exceptional, I'm nothing. So average progress feels like failure. Small wins don't register. Only big jumps count. That's not ambition. That's self-worth on hard mode. 5. Lonely comparison. When you don't have a tight circle you trust, your brain uses strangers as a mirror. And strangers are brutal mirrors, because you only see their best moments. Strong relationships protect your mental health and even long-term health outcomes. Big meta-analyses show social relationships are linked to lower mortality risk. So if you feel behind, sometimes it's not motivation you're missing, it's connection. If you want to stop feeling behind, do this. Step 1. Change the scoreboard. Pick one metric you control daily. 30 minutes. Skill building. 45 minutes training. 500 words. 1 hour deep work. Progress is not a mood, it's a receipt. Step 2. Shrink the comparison window. Compare you to you. Last month, last year, last 100 days. Not you to someone's curated decade. Step 3. Clean your inputs. If your feed makes you feel behind, it's not inspiration. It's emotional debt. Unfollow, mute, limit, reset. Step 4. Build one compounding lane. People feel behind when they're spread thin, trying to fix everything at once. Pick one lane: career skill, body, money, relationships. One lane, 90 days, no drama. Step 5. Add real feedback. One mentor, one friend, one community. Because isolation makes imaginary timelines louder. If you feel behind in life, you're not broken. You're responding to a world that turned life into a public scoreboard. But you don't need to catch up. You need to choose your timeline, because the only real definition of ahead is you're building a life you actually want on purpose. If you found this helpful, subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel grow. I've linked a few more videos I think you'll resonate with right here. See you in the next one.